attendees who have already bought and purchased property. Now they're just attending the webinars to get some updates. Others are attending for the first time because they just want to get to know a little bit about Belize. And others are part of my newsletters and so forth. So if you would, just take a minute, pick one of these three options. I'll leave this up here for just about 30 seconds. And like I said, if you just do me this favor, I appreciate it. And this will allow me to tailor my webinars in the future to more specifically what my clients are looking for. So if you would, just click on one of the three boxes. I see I have a good variety of people online today. Some are already clients. Some receive my newsletter, and a good number of you are coming to me through my Facebook post. And I do use that medium quite a bit to keep my clients updated and as a way to get the word of Belize out there. So I appreciate you viewing that on Facebook. All right, I'm going to leave it just up for a second, and I'm going to close the poll now because it looks like everybody has voted. So I'll close that, and we'll officially begin. All right, well, welcome. We appreciate you attending today, and I promise to make this worth your while. Again, I'm Dennis Caye. My wife and I lived on Ambergris Caye for 9 years and on the mainland of Belize for also several years. So I have a lot of experience both living and working in both parts of the country. And while we just go through some basics here, if you do have any plans to visit Ambergris Caye in the near future, here is one of the most beautiful spots on the island. This is Secret Paradise Beach Bar, located over on the west side of Ambergris Caye in an area known as Secret Beach. Now, Secret Paradise is not sponsoring this webinar, nor am I getting paid to promote them. I just think it's a great place to hang out. For those of you who know the island well, you've probably visited here many times yourself. But if you haven't, please check out Secret Beach. I think you're really going to fall in love with this part of the island, and it's cool, even if you're just going to go there for an afternoon to hang out, have a few drinks, eat at their beach bar, and swim in those crystal clear waters of Ambergris Bay. I think you'll really, really like it. Well, this is the webinar entitled Belize, Living Life on Your Own Terms, Finally. And what I hope to do in this webinar is to reach out to two different groups of people. Number one, you may already be a client of mine and you're just here for the updates. That's fine because the information I'm going to give you today is pretty exciting. If you're a vacation home owner or an investor on Ambergris Caye. But if you're not, if you haven't bought yet, then I'm going to really try to educate two different groups. Number one, the group that is looking at Belize as a possible retirement destination. Perhaps you're getting up in years, you're getting close to retirement, and you're looking at Belize as a place to maybe come down, get out of the cold Canadian or American winters. Perhaps you want to spend 3, 4, 5, 6 months in Belize and the rest of the time back home with family and friends. Or maybe you just simply want to completely relocate and retire to Ambergris Caye. Then you have other options that you can take advantage of, such as the QRP, or the Qualified Retired Persons Program, and we can get into that later. I won't have enough time to do that today on this webinar, but we can have a one-on-one consult and I can explain what that is. But also, a good number of my clients are looking at Belize as a place to park some money offshore. They understand the volatility of the stock market, although it's doing quite well right now, and it's had a very, very good run. People are getting a little worried that another recession or a crash is coming, and so they realize that even if they just take a portion of their portfolio and put it into something solid like offshore real estate, this can help diversify their portfolio and hedge against any one major disaster in any particular part of the economic sector wiping them out. So I'm going to show you a couple options today of how you can invest in Belize even if you don't have any desire to come down and spend a lot of time in the country. So I'm going to reach out to these two groups of people. And for those of you who know me, you know that I'm very bullish on vacant land investments for both groups because I think it's where the best deals are. I think you can save a lot of money buying vacant land in the right areas, certainly not any area because there's a lot of places you should stay away from because of safety concerns and infrastructure and other. But buying vacant land in good upcoming areas at good prices is both a smart move for the retiree, the vacation home owner, and the investor. And so what I want to do now is take a look at 3 different areas that are affecting the Belize real estate market in the country of Belize as a whole, but very specifically on Ambergris Caye. And these little pieces of news might seem simple at first, but I really want to break it down and show you what's happening and how they affect you if you've already purchased and if you have plans to purchase in the near future. So I want to go through the 2017 tourism stats, the cruise ship port of call called Harvest Caye and the impact that it's having on the real estate market. And then finally talk a little bit about Mahogany Bay Village, their grand opening, now just 7 days away, and the ripple effect that it's already having on Ambergris Caye. And I'm going to go through each of these things in detail and show you why now might be a good time to do some investing if you haven't already done so. And if you have already done so, maybe where you can stick a little bit of money to take advantage of the upswing that's taking place. So first of all, I'm going to show you a couple slides. These are slides that were released by the Belize Tourism Board, and this is regarding the overall increase in tourism in 2017. Now, these show the numbers by month. 2016 is in blue, 2017 is in gray, and you see how many overnight visitors are coming into the country during these various months. And so when you look at the numbers, they don't seem that impressive when you consider destinations like Miami Beach, Las Vegas, Cancun, Paris. But for an island in a country the size of Ambergris Caye and Belize, these are very, very significant numbers. Belize only has 350,000 people in the entire country, and Ambergris Caye, which gets most of the tourism activity, has between 22 and 25,000 people, depending on the time of year. Now, what's very exciting is when you look at the next chart that I want to show you. This chart shows the individual months by breakdown. Now, take a look at the left-hand side. You see the months of the year, January through December, and then the first major column is how many overnight visitors came to Belize in 2016, 385,583. All right, that's a pretty good number for us. But what is significant about that is the next small column, the percentage of change between 2015 and 2016. For example, go to January. In January, we had a 24% increase in the number of overnight arrivals from 2015 to 2016. In February, 18.5% increase. May, look at May, 20.2%. All the way to July, 16.9%. So for the entire year, as an average, between 2015 and 2016, the country of Belize saw a 13.0 increase in tourism. Now, let's go to 2017. You might have already looked at the numbers. You say, wow, you know what? They're kind of dropping a little. What you have to remember is some very, very key aspects of tourism, especially as it relates to occupancy rates. For example, if I were to show you 2015 numbers compared to 2014 to compare to 2013, we have had month-over-month increases consistently year after year. So now, something really interesting happened in 2017, and this is very exciting for my investors. Look at January. January, between 2016 and 2017, just that month, saw only a 0.7% increase in tourism. And you're thinking, well, that's very negligible. It is, but here is one of the major contributing factors. Ambergris Caye is already peaked out as far as occupancy goes in January. You'd be very hard-pressed to find a room at any condo, any hotel, any bed and breakfast on the entire island. We pretty much sell out the entire month of January. So basically, what these numbers are telling us is that Ambergris Caye is at maximum capacity. In fact, right now, I bet if you were to go online and try to book something in January, you wouldn't be able to do it. We're going to be completely booked out, completely sold out. And this is also true for February, which is a very good month for us, and March. So those 3 months, January, February, March, are some of the highest occupancy rates on the island of Ambergris Caye, but you can still see some numbers are inching up there. Now, granted, these aren't numbers just for Ambergris Caye. They apply to Belize as a whole, but because Ambergris Caye gets the bulk of the tourism, we can see by our own occupancy rates compared with these Belize Tourism Board figures that we still see an increase in tourism. Now, here's something really interesting. Take a look at April. Between 2015 and 2016, in April, there was 11.2% increase. Now, this year, a 24.2% increase in tourism, a huge number for the country. And then even look at August. August had a 19.1% increase. Now, this is on top of the 8.3% that they had last August. Take a look at September's, a 7.9% increase. This is on top of the 26.9% of 15 and 16 of September. So overall, 2017, first three quarters, 8.6% increase in tourism. Now, what does this really mean for real estate values? Well, what I want to talk about briefly is the significance of the overnight guest on Ambergris Caye. Number one, they're a different type of vacationer than the average person looking to take a typical one-week holiday vacation in the Caribbean. How and why is that true? Well, number one, flights to Belize are not budget flights. They're not cheap. When you go online and take a look at coming down to Belize, you'll see that we are significantly higher than other budget destinations such as Cancun, maybe the Dominican Republic, certainly places in the United States. The reason for that is our airport, the international airport in Belize, which receives all of the international traffic coming and going out of the country, that airport is funded only by the flights landing there on a daily basis. So because of that, the airport tax is significantly higher than you would see at any other airport in a tourism destination. For instance, Cancun, you can fly to Cancun for probably $100 round trip. It's a large airport. The airport is subsidized by the government, plus the thousands of flights coming in and out daily. Belize just has a dozen or so coming in every day. So because of that, prices per ticket are higher. In addition, once those guests get to Belize City, get to the international airport, they need to then transfer to Ambergris Caye. Ambergris Caye is a 15-minute shuttle flight away by Tropic Air or Maya Island Air. Most guests prefer to fly to the island, which is another short flight, along with your international flight, or they use the water taxi service, but still it's an additional cost. So if you're coming with a family of a married couple or a family with 2 kids, so now you have 4, those are significant factors when it comes to the overall cost of your holiday on the island. Now, add to that, our average room rate, and I wanted to pull these numbers up before the webinar, but I didn't have a chance to crunch them. But the last time I looked, our average room rate per night was around $225. And that is because most of the accommodations on island are condos, 1, 2, and 3-bedroom condos. There's very few hotel rooms, actual hotel rooms, and even those can average between $150 and $185 a night, especially during our high season. And so the reason I'm telling you all this is not to tell you that Ambergris Caye is this wildly expensive place to go, but those types of people that can afford to bring a family to an island like Ambergris Caye, stay in upscale accommodations, do things such as snorkeling and diving and fishing, usually have the wherewithal to then go ahead and purchase something if they so desired, if they like the look and feel of where they're vacationing and they can afford to vacation there. Most likely they can also afford to purchase. And so that's significant because what we're seeing on the island is families like this who usually have their own businesses or they're very successful in their life, financially speaking. They are coming to the island, seeing the potential, liking the laid-back feel, but it also has enough of an upscale vibe to it so they feel safe, comfortable, there's enough to do. Those types of people are our buyers. Our buyers aren't the guys that go to spring break on Cancun and stay in $60 a night hotels and have $100 round trip flights. It's a different type of clientele in Ambergris Caye, and that's why looking at these overnight numbers is very, very exciting for us because we are seeing now a shortage in supply of real estate and real estate prices now going significantly higher even when they were just 6 to 12 months ago, especially on the high-end stuff and on the vacant land. Also, number two, notice this. These types of buyers, or excuse me, vacationers that come to Ambergris Caye tend to purchase where they stayed, the resort where they stayed, or where they spent memorable time. And so what I mean by this is a person comes to Ambergris Caye, they can choose to stay on the south side, they can choose to stay on the north, they can choose to stay on the west, everywhere in between. And what happens is over a period of 3, 4, 5 days, a week or more, these people start to settle in and become part of that local community. So when they come to me wanting to purchase something, most likely they will say, Dennis, when I was on the island, I stayed here. Do you have anything in this general area? Now, you won't find the same type of things in other real estate markets. Just doesn't happen as much. I know this from talking to other real estate professionals around the world. But Ambergris Caye is very unique because even though it's a small island, each area has its own little vibe, own little neighborhood feel. And these types of visitors who come fall into that neighborhood feel, and most likely they end up buying where they stayed. So this is pretty significant for us. Now, another stat that I want you to take a look at, and this is also very interesting, is the increase in cruise ship visitors. Now, you might think, well, how do cruise ship visitors affect a real estate market? Well, in this case, very, very significantly, and here's why. What the cruise ships are doing for the country of Belize is giving them an exposure to a country that they may not have visited before. So unfortunately, in the past, the only place where cruise ship visitors had to go was to the port in Belize City. Belize City is not a very attractive destination. Hopefully, most cruise ship people that get off the boat and tender in to Belize City would then go off and see the Mayan ruins, which are absolutely stunning. They would go cave tubing. They would do things like that, maybe go for a day of snorkeling. But most of those cruise ship visitors do not go to Ambergris Caye. It's not really easy to get to from Belize City, and it's just not worth it in most cases. But what they are given is an exposure to the country. Now, they might not be the ones who end up purchasing, but because then they take their videos and their pictures back home, they post them on social media, they expose their family and friends and coworkers to a country that they may not have heard of before, and it starts to pique people's interest. Now, one good thing, in my opinion, this is an incredible development for Belize and the cruise ship industry, is that recently Harvest Caye was opened for business. And I want to kind of go through some of what Harvest Caye is and how it plays in to the real estate market, even on Ambergris Caye. What I like about Harvest Caye is it gives people a very unique first date with Belize, or first impression, you might say, and an opportunity then to want to explore other areas of the country. So here's again the bar chart showing the cruise ship arrivals 2016 compared to 2017, and you see also there are significant increases in some months, some decreases in other months. Not sure why that is. Maybe there were storms that month or other things that affect the cruise ship industry. But overall, we do see last year a 4.9% increase in cruise ship passengers between 2015 and 2016. And then in the first 3 months of 2017, a 3.7% increase. But if you notice, some of the highest numbers are yet to be seen. So October, November, those were excellent months last year as far as increases in cruise ship tourism. And so we expect that to be even more record numbers this year. So it'd be interesting to see how the year pans out once we get all of 2017 numbers. Now, I want to go back to this issue of Harvest Caye. For those of you who don't know, Harvest Caye is a private island. It's a $50 million purpose-built island developed by Norwegian Cruise Line. And it's made to service that cruise line's Western Caribbean itineraries. So, for example, this is the picture I personally took. My mom and dad's 50th wedding anniversary was last January. And so my brother and sister and I and our mates and our nieces and nephews, we all got on a cruise ship in Miami. And it was my parents' first cruise. And we stopped in Roatan, Honduras. Belize, Harvest Caye, and also we went up to Mahawa and Cozumel. So I had just a fantastic time. But I was very impressed with what Norwegian Cruise Lines did with Harvest Caye, and especially because it gives visitors a beautiful experience, a first kiss, a first date with Belize that really now, for the first time ever, highlights the Caribbean aspect of the country Belize rather than just the main aspect. Because for those of you who know Belize City or heard of it, the cruise ship would come into Belize City. They would have to tender the people in. Once they get on, it was a little bit of a rough looking city and a little dangerous. And so they went to the mainland. So they got to see the jungles and stuff. But, you know, when people are thinking about retirement homes, vacation homes, destinations, they're not really often thinking about a jungle type experience. Whereas the islands of Belize, Caye Caulker, Ambergris Caye, places like this, do see a high number of investors and buyers, retirees, vacation homeowners. So this island experience is exposing them to that type of atmosphere. This is one of the pools that they have on Harvest Caye. Beautiful pool, nice restaurants. They have 4 bars. This is a Jimmy Buffett affiliated Land Shark Bar and Grill. They have zip lining. They have all sorts of things. They have animals to see. You can also visit the mainland. And what this island has done is it also employs over 400 Belizeans, local Belizeans. So when you go to the various areas, if you go to buy some food, you go to get your drinks, you go to buy your souvenirs, all of the workers on island are Belizean. So what I did is when I got to the island, I was one of the first ones off the boat, and I went around and talked to as many locals as I could to see how they felt about it. And I can tell you without a doubt, 100% of all the locals who worked on this island were very proud of what they were doing, welcoming people to Belize, giving them a beautiful first exposure to this country, and allowing them then to think, you know what, maybe I can come back for a vacation. Maybe it'd be interesting. Now, where do you think they're going to go when they come back for a vacation on Ambergris Caye, or excuse me, in Belize? Well, they can't go to Harvest Caye because that's a private island. So what they would naturally do is look toward another Caribbean island that belongs to the country Belize. So, for example, here is a map. You see Harvest Caye way down there. It's in the southern part of the country, just off the tip of Placencia in the Stan Creek area. And then you see Belize City there, right about the middle of the map. And then towards the northern end of the country of Belize, you have Ambergris Caye. So the largest island by far, the largest population. And again, that is where we see the bulk of the tourism, the bulk of the investment money coming in, the new hotels, the new beach clubs, the new resorts, and where most people end up wanting to retire and own a vacation home. Now, interesting, and here's another key aspect to this, is for those of you who often view cruise ship traffic as a negative, and most people who live on Caribbean islands do because of I guess the element that a cruise ship brings to an island. It does destroy some of its beauty, along with bringing it some much needed revenue at times. But with Ambergris Caye, we will never see cruise ship passenger traffic on Ambergris Caye itself. And here's why. First of all, Harvest Caye is 106 miles from Ambergris Caye. So there's no way somebody's going to come to Harvest Caye and then want to visit Ambergris. It's just not going to happen. But because of the reef, which is just off the coast of Ambergris Caye. So if you look at this picture here, you see the island. This is an aerial shot looking from north to south. You see that white line. That is the second largest barrier reef in the world, the Central American Barrier Reef. And that is what prevents cruise ship traffic from coming right up to the island, because the deep water you see off to the left, that's several thousand feet deep. It's very wavy, very unstable. A cruise ship is unable to anchor there and tender people in safely to the island. So the island of Ambergris Caye is never going to see cruise ship tourism. However, the cruise ship tourism that we are getting in the country is already starting to affect Belize real estate property values. Because we see that exposure is leading to more overnight guests, which very quickly leading into a increase in the amount of sales. One final thing we want to talk about regarding tourism is the key flight status. I talked about this extensively last week, so I won't get into it this week. But two quick things: WestJet flying direct from Calgary to Belize. I tell you what, for those living in Calgary, Edmonton, Fort McMurray, I tell you, in 2008 when the U.S. market crashed, the dear beautiful people of Alberta really saved our butts in Belize, because when the U.S. U.S. buyers started drying up, the oil money from the sands and the great economy of Alberta really started to come into the country. And for about a good 18 to 24 months, those Canadians made up at least 50 to 60% of my clientele. What had happened is, over time, that clientele had slowly dried up a bit, because Canadians wanted direct flights to their vacation destinations, to where they wanted to own property. And until this year, we were unable to give that to them. Now, with WestJet flying direct from Calgary and Air Canada flying direct from Toronto to Belize, we are going to be seeing a huge uptick in the number of Canadian buyers. So all good news. Well, finally, the grand opening of Mahogany Bay Village. This is very exciting. Now just about 3 days away. And what is Mahogany Bay Village? Well, it is a 60-acre property. It features private residences, a pool club, a spa, a private beach club, numerous indoor and outdoor event spaces, and a very unique, bustling retail village. And this is going to, like I said, have its grand opening in just 7 days from now as a Hilton Curio Collection resort branded property. And what I'd like to do is just show you a few pictures. This is a picture showing the Rum and Bean coffee shop, the Deli Cafe. They have a chocolate shop here. They have a new sushi restaurant, which I'll talk about in a bit. They have other cafes. They have a market where people bring in fresh vegetables and things to sell, and fruits, and just a really nice community of a place to visit and vacation. What's unique about this is all of the townhomes or single-family homes or rooms that are in the resort project. So, for instance, if you're going to come and spend a week at this resort, all of these face waterfront canals. So the entire 60-acre parcel is laid out like this, along these strips of canals that lead out to the west side of Ambergris Bay, out to those beautiful crystal clear waters that I showed you at the beginning, and by extension out to the reef side, out to where the snorkeling, diving, and fishing takes place. This is a picture of one of the restaurant and entertainment areas, one of the event centers. You can see the nice pool there. You can't see the sunset, but you might be able to see the glow on the palm trees on the buildings. This area just has incredible views of the sunset as it goes down over the west. And this is an interior shot of what the units are furnished like. So you can see it's got a very cool coastal living type feel to it. All of the wood that you see there is sourced right from sustainable forestry on the mainland of Belize. All of the photographs are locally done. All of the furniture is locally done. Just has a really awesome, laid-back, beachy cheek vibe to it. And I think you'd be very, very happy if you planned a vacation and stayed there. This is a picture of their own private beach club. So from the resort to this beach club, it's about a 10-minute boat ride away. It faces west, so these waters are on the waters of Ambergris Bay, right across from Kyosaki. So Kyosaki is where the just the elite go to vacation. It's $2,000 a night to stay there, usually 3 to a 7 day minimum, depending on the time of year. And so we get a lot of celebrities and others that really want some privacy booking to stay on that island. If you want to see it, go to www.privateisland.com and look at the rooms. Kyosaki is just absolutely gorgeous. But anyway, so this beach club belongs to Mahogany Bay Village, and the guests of the beach club can go out there, enjoy it. Very awesome setting. Here's a view of the sunset. Looks like they're getting ready for a little dinner party. So just a really, really cool aspect of Mahogany Bay Village. Now, this is the last thing I'll show you about Mahogany Bay, is the new sushi restaurant that is now open. And I think it's called Ioto. Giotto Japanese cuisine. So this is a brand new Japanese restaurant that just opened up by Chef Toshiya Sugimoto. I'm going to need to work on my Japanese, but they have a 4,500 square foot sushi restaurant right in Mahogany Bay Village, and it is open. And it is incredible. It's getting rave reviews. In fact, it's giving Blue Water Grill, it's one of my favorite restaurants on the island, a run for its money. And again, it's just in this beautiful setting. So here's the thing for all of you looking for an investment, retirement, vacation home, things like that. Mahogany Bay Village is offering Discovery Weekends. They're a 3.5-day weekend. I think they begin on Thursday night. They end Sunday noonish. And for $597 per person, you get to stay right at Mahogany Bay Village. It also includes your Tropic Air flight, all meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And what they do is they give you a tour of the resort itself, a tour of where the beach club is, but also a general tour of the island. So if you've never been to Ambergris Caye before, it's a really neat way to get out on a boat, get out on a golf cart, see the different parts of the island, get an education about the real estate market there, because on these tours, they go into depth about the occupancy rates, the room rates, the investment potential of their offerings here at Mahogany Bay Village. And what I would suggest, though, is if you are interested, chat with me first about being a little bit pre-qualified, because, for instance, they are offering on these types of tours product in the resort itself. So townhomes, 2-bedroom homes, 3-bedroom single-family homes, and so forth. And prices go between $379 and up to about $650, $700,000 US. And so if that price point is of interest to you, if you can, swing a cash purchase in there, it'd be really advantageous to go on one of these tours. Even if it's a little bit out of your range, what you might want to do is go on the tour anyway, just to get the education, to see the island, and then Sunday afternoon or Monday, hook up with me or another realtor on the island and start to look at maybe some vacant land opportunities or some other condo projects, resort projects that are going up in the island. But anyway, it's a fantastic way to discover Ambergris Caye. So now what I want to do is, based on all that, those are all the contributing factors that are going into the price increases that we are seeing happening on Ambergris Caye. And what I mean by price increases is, some properties in the past 18 months have doubled in value, doubled in sales price, not just doubled in value. So I have properties that I sold for $100,000 18 months ago. Now they actually sold for $200,000. So it's not just on paper that they're going up; they're actually increasing in value quite a bit. A lot of the condos on island have gone from seeing a 20, 25, 30% increase over the past 12 to 18 months. And that's something that we're going to see continue, especially as these tourism stats, the new flights, the new resorts going in, the branding of the hotels, all that builds a lot more credibility to the island. And so we're starting to see a major impact on real estate values. So here are two examples. Let me just grab a quick glass of water here. Here are two examples of where you can still get a very good deal because of the area where these properties are located in. And I'm going to explain to you why, and then we can chat a little bit more about some other options later. But first of all, I have a beachfront lot on Ambergris Bay. This beachfront lot has fee simple title, which is full ownership. So it's not a lease, it's not a rent. You actually get title to the property. This lot faces Cayo Rosario and Blackador Caye. Blackador Caye is Leonardo DiCaprio's island, which is currently under construction and which will open up as a branded Four Seasons eco resort with villas selling at up to $15 million. So just incredible. But anyways, this beachfront lot faces in that direction. It faces west, overlooking Ambergris Bay, and it would be perfect to build your own private beachfront home on, or simply as an investment. And financing is available on this. The list price on it is $95,000 US, which is already tremendous. For example, the 3 lots up from it, one company has a lot listed for $135,000, and one lot that just sold for $185,000 that was about a mile south of it. So 95,000 is the list price. The owners contacted me yesterday and they agreed for this webinar to reduce the price to 88,000 US. Now, last week when we highlighted some properties, some of you were asking for more pics, more descriptions. So let me just kind of briefly run down for you where exactly this is located. On this map, which is a Google Earth map of a very specific portion of Ambergris Caye, you see Secret Beach down there with a yellow pin. Now I'm going to show you where Secret Beach is in a minute on a bigger map, but notice where Secret Beach is, where the yellow pin is. Now look up. Parcel number 8460 is the parcel number I'm talking about. The one for $88,000. It's about 1.14 miles north of Secret Beach. Here I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit. So again, you see it's parcel 8460, direct beachfront lot, sandy beachfront, and a very low density subdivision. You see you just have a row of beachfront, a couple smaller second rows, and then a little row of waterfront behind. This is a very pristine part of the island, and this is a view of the beachfront looking from a boat to the lot. So on the left-hand side, you're looking at the lot itself, the sandy beachfront lot, and then standing on the lot looking out, you see the beautiful crystal clear waters of Ambergris Bay. So very, very attractive piece of property. What I think would go good on this property is for the budget buyer or investor is to look at putting one of these Mennonite homes on that lot. This is a wooden mahogany home built on the mainland, shipped to Ambergris Caye by barge and installed on a lot in Grand Belize Estates. This house is very, very reasonable in cost, complete as you see, with a septic system, with a sewer system, with solar, completely furnished, completely with all your utilities, everything ready to go, turnkey, will be about 70,000 US. So actually a very, very good price. I think it would be great on that beachfront lot. Maybe elevate it a bit, maybe put a flat roof on it to take advantage of the views once you get up a couple stories. You can also customize these. So this is just one option that I thought would go very well there. But let me get back to just show you where this is in the big scheme of things. So for those of you who haven't been to Ambergris Caye before, this is a Google Earth shot showing the island of Ambergris Caye. You can see the Caribbean Sea is off to the west, so the dark blue water there. Mahogany Bay Village, which we just talked about, is located in the south of the island. So you can see I have that tag down there, San Pedro Town, Mahogany Bay Village. And then you can still see Secret Beach, where the yellow peg is, Cayo Rosario off to the east. So I have a little circle around Cayo Rosario. That's a 10-acre island. And then Blackador Caye, again, Leonardo DiCaprio's island, 110 acres. That's out there right in the middle of the bay. So this lot is perfect if you want to be on protected waters in a very clean area. There's no seagrass. There's no beach trash that washes up. And it's at a very, very good investment price. Here's one more. Let me see, did I highlight it there? I didn't highlight it there as good. A little bit close-up shot of Secret Beach, Ambergris Bay, showing where it's at on the island. Here's a shot that I have showing the distance. So you see the red arrow at the top. I'm pointing to the exact lot that's for sale. Secret Beach is down there at the bottom, and it's 1.14 miles. So it's very, very close to some really, really cool beach bars, other little businesses, restaurants, cafes that sit right in that Secret Beach area. Now, here is the total nutshell or the total package of what it would cost to buy this property. So for you cash buyers, the price is 88,000 US. Your closing cost will be about 1,760. Your stamp tax is 6,240. So your total investment happens to be write a check for 96,000 US, pay a dime more. That's it. That's your total investment to have your own beachfront property on Ambergris Caye. How it works is when you go under contract, you put 10% down. So 10% of 88,000 is 8,800. So you'll put 10% down. And then a local closing company, I like to use Belize Caye Investments. They're an excellent closing company, third party on the island. They do the title transfer, the investigation, make sure it's clear of any liens or encumbrances. They'll do all the paperwork, mail it to you so you can sign, mail it to the seller so they can sign, and usually that takes about 45 days to get done, and so your balance would be due 45 days after going under contract. So excellent deal for those of you who have cash. You can buy this with personal funds, or if you have an IRA, let's say you have 96,000 in your own self-directed IRA, you can this qualifies for one of those purchases. Or for those of you who don't have enough in your personal IRA, but maybe you're married and between you and your wife you have enough to do it, then you can split it. For instance, you can do 75% in your wife's IRA, 25% in yours, or pick some numbers that work, but it does qualify for IRA purchases. Now, for those of you who are looking for a financing deal, I was able to work out with the sellers this deal. Here are the numbers. Price, 88,000 US. Closing costs are the same, stamp tax is the same, so your total purchase price is still 96,000 US. And what you can do is you can put down 10% earnest money due at signing, another 10% due 45 days at closing, so you have 20% down payment to the seller, and then of course you have to take care of your closing costs and stamp tax. So here's the way those numbers look. At closing, you will pay your closing cost, your stamp tax, your 25% down, excuse me, your 20% down, not 25. So total out of pocket at closing is 25,600 US. That is to finance that beachfront lot. And then your payment options, well, those can be worked out between you and the seller, depending on what you need. For example, you might need financing for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You might need a lower payment up front. Maybe for the first 2 years, you need a lower payment, and then you'll be selling something in the future, and you'll be able to make a higher monthly payment. So those types of details can be worked out. But basically, you're looking at a monthly payment of $617 at the lowest to $930 a month, again, depending on things such as amortization schedules and things like that. So excellent deal. And again, I think this is just a great little house, something like it to be built on this property. Another option I wanted to tell you about is a commercial / residential property right near Secret Beach. I have never, ever presented this property before. In fact, it's not on any website, not even my own, because I just heard about it last night. This is a third row corner building lot. Now I'll show you exactly where it's located. It also has fee simple title. You get full ownership on the island of Ambergris Caye, and you can build a strictly commercial property, so some sort of bar, cafe, small grocery store, something like that, fishing lodge, whatever you want, or you can build your own private home or a combination of the two. Now, again, list price on this when the seller came to me last night was 64,000 US, but I convinced them, and this is true story, to let it go on this webinar for $55,000 US. Now you might be saying, why are you able to offer a discount on these properties just because it's a webinar? Well, simple. I don't have to do a broker co-op split with anyone, so there's no one bringing me a lead. You are my leads, you who are on this webinar, so I'm not paying anybody else for bringing me a buyer, and I'm also not paying a lot of advertising fees. I'm not paying to put on my website, spend a lot of money getting the word out there. I'm able to cut all those costs. So between the sellers lowering their price a bit and me benefiting, lowering my price a bit, I'm able to pass that on to the end buyer. Here is the exact location where this lot is located. So again, you see Secret Beach. That's where the yellow pin is. And then you see Ambergris Bay, of course, that's off to the left. And then it's a third row corner lot, just about 1/4 mile from Secret Beach. In fact, I think I had the exact measurements here. Yep, 0.23 miles from the Secret Paradise Beach Bar and Grill, which many of you know, it's what I showed that first slide when I opened up the webinar today. 0.23 miles north, and it is a third row lot, meaning you have a beachfront row, a second row right behind the beach, then a wide road, and then you have that nice corner lot. Now, here are some pictures of the Secret Paradise Beach Bar and Grill, so you know what the area looks like. So it's got crystal clear waters. You have a lot of activity, especially on the weekends. Both tourists and locals just love to come to this part of the island. You can see how beautiful it is. It has gorgeous palm trees, beautiful sunsets. Again, no seagrass, no trash washing up on the beach. Here's a view looking from east to west. So a couple things of significance, as you can see Cayo Rosario, which is the 10-acre island just off on your upper right-hand side of your screen. And then behind that, you see a very, very faint black line. That's DeCapro's Island, Blackador Caye. That's way out there. So really, you really can't see it much, but it is out there. And what that does, again, is bring a lot of focus and attention to this part of the country. So pretty exciting for us. So here's the way the numbers look on that third row lot. You have the purchase price of $55,000 US, your closing costs just under $2,000, your stamp tax of $3,600. So your total investment on this lot is $60,575. Not a dime more. That's your all-in price at this time. The seller of this property, unfortunately, his wife is having health issues. And they're racking up some medical bills in the States. So he's not really able to offer any type of financing that he told me about. There might be some limited financing if you need it just for 6 to 12 months, and you can do a pretty much payoff within 12 months. He might go for something like that. But otherwise, it's a cash deal, 10% earnest money due at deposit, at signing rather, and then the balance due in 45 days. Now, in addition, with these two properties, if you do decide to go ahead and purchase, I can also give you some help and assistance regarding the use of IBCs. I have a PDF regarding how and why to own property in an IBC, which is kind of like an LLC in the United States. I can also give you some tips and tricks on starting and running a business in Belize and some of the tax advantages that that offers, especially if you're a digital nomad or an entrepreneur where you can work remotely. There's some excellent tax advantages that come from running your business, living outside the United States or Canada, and also some unique opportunities when you get ready to build. So not all of you are wanting to build a vacation home. Some of you are just investors speculating on land in up-and-coming areas like this. But if you are ready to build, it's worth it to talk to a local designer. So I can personally introduce you to Froylan Alvarado. Alvarado is an excellent architect based out of Belize City. He's designed beautiful homes for clients of mine and also some smaller resort projects. So he's an excellent guy to talk to regarding what type of home you might be interested in, your budget, building materials, and so forth. And also, I can give you a complete set of home options in the style of coastal living. So if you want to get some ideas of what would work good, what would look good on some of these lots in Belize, I can also send that to you. So those are the two properties I wanted to tell you about today, the beachfront for 88 and the residential commercial for 55. Email me if you're interested in either one of those. Like I said, those numbers are good for this webinar only. They are not available to the general public for reasons that I mentioned, so only available to you webinar attendees today. But also, I wanted to leave some time. Let me check the time here. We've been going for almost 50 minutes. So I have another appointment at the half of the hour. So I do have about 10 to 12 minutes for questions. So if you want to ask me a question about anything we've covered or anything that's on your mind, questions that came up as you listen to me today, go ahead and post in the question box and I'll get those. What I would like to do as you're posting your questions, I want to run just one quick other poll. Again, this helps me to understand who attends these webinars, what you're most likely interested in, and how I can tailor the information to better suit your needs. So here, please pick one of the four. Have you been to Ambergris Caye before? No, but I'm planning a trip down. I'd like some recommendations. Fine, you click that box, and I'll be sure to send you some flight info, some hotels, things to do, restaurants to eat at, some of my favorites, things like that. If you have been, then you click yes, that's why I'm on this webinar. You can click box 2. If you are serious about owning some type of property and you want to chat, we can set up a private Skype or WhatsApp or phone call, or we just communicate by email if you prefer. It doesn't matter to me. And if you weren't really that interested in what you heard and saw today, then just go ahead and click box 4. Now, this doesn't seem like it's for me, but thanks anyway. And I don't have any offense on that, just a personal thing. So go ahead. I will leave this up. And as usual, 0% click the nah, this doesn't seem like it's for me. So appreciate that. Good. I suppose you're not going to, you're listening to me talk for 50 minutes if you're not really interested. So I don't know if any of you are typing in any questions. This question box might not be working because usually by now we have a good 10 to 15 to 20 questions coming up. Boy, I don't know what's happening. So if you do have a question, go ahead and type it in the questions box. Is that coming up, or are you able to send me a chat? I don't know if there is a glitch in the system. Let me just close this poll down. And actually, I'm going to share the poll with you. I think it's pretty good for all of you to see what's going on. So 64% are planning a trip down, 18% have already been, and 45% are owning or are serious about owning some type of property. So we appreciate that. All right, so questions. This is a question from Brian Snyder. Is the crime rate going up on Ambergris Caye? So here's the honest truth about the crime rate on Ambergris Caye. Like anywhere, crime rates ebb and flow. The crime that you see happening in Belize on the news normally has to deal with drug-related crime, gang-related crime in Belize City. Again, Belize City is a very dangerous part of the country. I do not recommend going there. Again, that's why I'm glad that some of the cruise ships decided to go down to Harvest Caye so they avoid the element of Ambergris Caye. My wife and I lived on Ambergris Caye for 9 years. I have numerous friends, expats friends, who live there much longer than that. They have never had a problem on Ambergris Caye. That being said, I fully subscribe to the fact that how you live determines how safe you are in any given area, because on Ambergris Caye, if you come and you live there and you interact with the locals and you're part of the community and you live with reasonable safety, you're going to have zero problems whatsoever. Tourists on the island are very rarely targeted, and those events that you do hear about where an American or a Canadian is involved, I can tell you from experience, not me personally, but clients that I've had come down, it's those who are hanging out in the very undesirable parts of town at all hours of the night, most of the time drinking way too much, using illegal drugs, and then as they're walking home, they wonder why they're getting robbed or getting into an altercation. If you don't go out at 2 or 3 in the morning and do those types of activities with those types of individuals, most of the time you're not going to have any problem. And I use the example of where I grew up. I grew up in a small town called Bay City, about 38,000 people in Michigan. Saginaw and Flint were about, Saginaw is about 8 to 10 miles away. Flint's about a 45-minute drive. But if you look at the crime rate of those cities, if you were in those bad areas doing those types of activities, you're going to have a higher likelihood of being affected by crime than if you lived where we lived in Bay City, not only physically removed from that, but also by the way you live. So on Ambergris Caye, I do not believe there's been an increase in crime. And when there is a little bit of an uptick sometimes, the police quickly deal with those who are involved in those things, clear the element out, and I think it's one of the safest places in all of the Caribbean. And quite honestly, I've been to a lot of other islands. I've been to Puerto Rico, the Roatan Islands, Bay of Honduras. I've been to a lot of Mexican islands, a lot of islands, Jamaica, and I would tell you that I feel the safest on Ambergris Caye, and so do most of my clients, and that's why we do see the major hotel brands going in there, such as the Hilton, such as the Wynn, WYNN, the Wynn Luxury Properties, which is going in on the north side of Ambergris Caye. Those brands trust the safety and security and the long-term viability of their clientele coming to a place like Ambergris Caye. And I have more information on that, but if you have anything else you want to talk about, Brian, go ahead and shoot me an email. We'll get on Skype. We'll talk it through. Any other questions for me today? I had a couple questions last week regarding building. So if you want to know about what it costs to build, what to build, you can go ahead and rewatch last week's webinar. We also had questions last week regarding financing. So you can go back and watch that again. But we just have about 2 or 3 minutes left. So what I'll do, if you don't have any more questions, I'll just kind of run through a few more pictures for you, again, of the west side of the island. This is in the path of progress now that the Secret Beach area has opened up with that east-west connection road that has been built. So that has really made this part of the island very, very desirable. And for any of you interested in building, in owning a vacation property, having your own slice of paradise, or investing offshore, please give me a quick buzz after this. Shoot me an email. We can set up a time to Skype, and then and we'll go from there. All right. Well, I really appreciate it, guys. It's been a lot of fun. I hope it was educational for you. I will make a recording of this and send it out. I'll upload it to my YouTube channel and send it to you. Feel free to share it with your friends and family. Go back and watch it again if you'd like, and hope to see you on island soon. All right. This is Dennis Caye. We appreciate everything you guys are doing for us. I appreciate especially my current clients who have made it possible for me to live the lifestyle that I really enjoy, the freedom of living where I want, doing what I want. And I appreciate you current clients and future clients. And I promise to make myself as valuable to you as possible. Again, this is Dennis Caye with Belize Islands Real Estate. And we will see you all in paradise soon. Out.